in here for a bombshell of an episode. A lot of emotions right now with everything that happened over the weekend. I'm sure you guys already know about all the two shootings that happened in El Paso, Texas and Dayton, Ohio. Usually I don't make videos on shootings. I really don't, because they're usually false flag events. And these two shootings are also false flag events. But either way, what had happened with the target of the mainstream media pushing a certain narrative, us and the other anons and the people researching in this community, we saw the narrative go from gun control to attacking Second Amendment rights, to the shooters being racist, Trump supporters, and now the narrative is being pushed to QAnon follower, Q member, and 8chan posting. Some people posting on 8chan, and you guys know, if you don't know, where the anons do all the research is on 8chan, which is a completely anonymous website where people post almost anything. So we're going to get into all this today, guys, and we're going to tie all this up with the mind control program called MK Ultra that was made in the 50s and 60s by the CIA. And I'm going to tie all that in. I've been waiting to do an episode on MK Ultra for a while, but I'm going to save that for the end because it literally ties all these shooters together. These aren't random acts, guys. You guys have to realize that. These aren't just random people that are angry. Well, they are angry. But these aren't random acts. These are coordinated attacks to shift the collective consciousness of the country, to have their eyes peeled on one thing, and to get people to see false and misinformation. You guys are going to see all this right now as I go through the information that I have for you. So brace yourselves, sit tight. It's going to be a good one. And what we're going to start out with today is a thread here. You guys need to. I know I drop names on here, but I drop names for good reason, because I trust these people with the information, and they are great follows on Twitter. Follow this guy running the race. He has awesome threads. He writes threads every single day. But this is where we're going to start. All right. So you guys heard about the Texas shooter and the Dayton, Ohio shooter. I'm not going to get into details. Obviously, the El Paso one was a shoot up in a Walmart. And the one in Dayton, Ohio, was a shoot up of I guess a pretty popular bar in Ohio. So as all these events were happening, we were getting mixed reports, especially the El Paso one, of what the shooter was wearing, whether it was multiple shooters, and a bunch of things were coming from the mainstream media that just were not lining up, and the story was constantly changing. And it was a nightmare trying to keep up with all of it. Obviously, people were dying. You have to keep that into perspective. It's still a terrible act, but we were getting so much misinformation, right? So let's start. So the first thing it says, leftists change Patrick Cruz's My Life page Democrat to Republican. So this was the first thing we noticed, guys. As soon as we got the name of the shooter, we wanted to find out his background, right? So I'm gonna show you guys the Gateway Pundit article. So this was the first thing that came out, and My Life page is think about it as it's a website that pulls public records together, that puts anybody that they have access to, and it pretty much makes a profile of anybody just based off public records that who you vote for, political status, a bunch of things, your drivers, whether you have a license in a certain state, things like along those lines. So we first noticed that the shooter in El Paso was a leftist, and his affiliation was changed from Democrat to Republican, right? That is very interesting. And here's a picture of this, and I'm going to get into more detail on that on the actual pundit page. But that is the first thing that we noticed. We noticed his political affiliation changed immediately, and not only that, his social media was scrubbed off the internet completely. Twitter, Facebook, everything was shut down. Very suspicious, right? But again, guys, I'm here to give you the facts that the media is not obviously reporting on. Let's move on here. So we go here. Time until police apprehend suspect. There was incorrect report of the name, the number of suspects, and when the image surfaced, allegedly security video shows man in khaki cargo pants, while images of suspect arrest in khakis without cargo pockets. Manifesto linked to suspect social media scrub accounts. And there was a link to a CNN site. Not going to get into that. It was really nothing really there for me to look at and show you guys. And number 3, all before his electronic devices had been seized and analyzed. Reports still stating no motive known. If he knew to post it where he did, he wasn't a first-time poster. Why not share all his posts? See screenshot for full Anon post. And guys, this is talking about the manifesto that he posted, and he put it on 8chan. And he had not posted anything else to 8chan before this, which is very suspicious again. Why would he post on 8chan when most of these mass shooters either post on Facebook or Twitter, other social media sites, right? So just keep that in the back of your head, guys. He had put his manifesto on 8chan. And we all know where QAnon does have their research is 8chan as well. So keep that in your minds. And as we continue to go on here, reports of POTUS retweeting a Q account. And I've shown you guys in the previous video that regarding to voter ID, Trump had retweeted an account that had a banner in the background where it says where we go one, we go all. And we all know that's a very popular QAnon saying. And so again, Washington Post is bringing this up again. Where does Q reside? Resides on 8chan. And as we keep going down the thread here, Straka going mainstream after dropping WWG, 1WA. Notice how they failed to report on Antifa attacking an ICE facility. In fact, they have all failed to report on Antifa, period. And here it is, guys. And if you notice, Alexandra Ascora-Cortez, AOC, and the squad have never denounced Antifa at all. They won't say anything negative about them, or they won't comment at all. So that means, and the mainstream media along with them, because they're all on the same side, there was no coverage of this Antifa attack on the ICE facility, right? Very strange, very, very strange. So why was there was no coverage of this? This was a militant. Let's see, I'll find the information right here. William von Spronzen, armed with a rifle and incendiary devices, set a car on fire and was shot and killed by police officers who were responding to the scene. He also attempted to light a propane tank on fire, which could have resulted in a mass murder of staff and detainees housed at the facility. Had he been successful, according to Sean Falla, head of the ICE Office of Professional Responsibility. Van Spronzen reportedly had been arrested for lunging at and grabbing a police officer during 2018 anti-immigration protests at the Tacoma facility. And let's see. It is very easy to imagine how a similar attack with political loyalties reversed would have been reported. In fact, you don't have to imagine it. Look to last year's Cesar Sayoc pipe bomb spree, which became a referendum in which whether President Trump's violent rhetoric somehow encouraged violence of this kind, which was completely bullshit. And we're seeing that narrative too. Trump's fueling these violent racist murders. That's what's going on, right? So that, guys, this is to show you an example. There was an ICE attack by Antifa, but the media never covered it. That is my whole point of showing you this. So moving on. Now, the El Paso shooter also supported Antifa. And Antifa had planned to visit El Paso in less than 30 days. And were planning to protest. What about Andy Nadeau? And you guys know about him from a couple months ago when he was out in Portland, Oregon, when he was just filming an Antifa protest and he got the shit beat out of him and cement milkshakes thrown in his face. We all know about Antifa. And here we go. Anons do not and never have condoned violence. Anons love and support the constitutions. Anons know they want to take away the Second Amendment. Why would Anons give them exactly what they want? And this is pretty much just, more rhetoric in regards to that. And the whole point of showing you this, guys, is as we were watching all these events unfold, as we were watching the mainstream media report on this stuff, we were getting constant misinformation. And on top of it, me and millions of other people follow certain people on Twitter that give real news. They're independent media that we trust. And as they were giving the facts, they were contradicting mainstream media. And at the same time, guys, these accounts were getting suspended and shut down. while they were trying to warn the public of really what was going on, because when El Paso was going down, they were saying it was one shooter, when we knew it was multiple. And those details are still to come out. And there was also reports of a second shooter being gunned down by police. That was never reported. It was only reported on this one guy. And as this was happening, we were seeing information change that he was originally a Democrat, changed to Republican. And not only that, information was changed to Trump supporter and QAnon supporter and member. That is insane. And that is why I was so angry. We were just letting this stuff. Guys, I was going nuts yesterday, seeing the shit come out. And you guys are going to see what it's turning into, what the narrative is turning into. Alright, so we're going to get into this. This is the last part. Remember this. False flag operations are covert operations conducted by governments, corporations, or other organizations which are designed to appear as if they are being carried out by other entities. And guys, that is exactly what this was. Because not only did the El Paso thing happen, just in 24 hours, a second shooting had happened in Dayton, Ohio. And of course, we had the rhetoric coming out. Hollywood blames Trump for El Paso shooting. The President of the United States bears responsibility. And we'll read here on this article from Breitbart, some of Hollywood's most politically active and vocal figures reacted to the mass shootings in El Paso, Texas on Saturday by blaming Republicans and President Donald Trump and calling on Congress to pass more laws restricting the Second Amendment right of law-abiding gun owners. And guys, anything related to Hollywood, you know by now, anything they say, they are part of the deep state. They all have blackmail that is held by the elites, as we know through Epstein. All they want is Trump to go down. They have to politicize these shootings. We are the only country smart enough that put in our Constitution to have gun rights as our Second Amendment right, because we know if we were to ever lose those guns, we lose the power. We have no control. It's a government takeover. So this is what it started turning into, right? All these shootings in the past couple of years have all been what? We want to restrict Second Amendment rights. We need more gun laws, more gun control. And again, we all know it's not going to work, but this is what the deep state wants. This is what the deep state's pushing for. The deep state owns the media. That is what the story will be. And as we go, we have more and more of these fucking idiots, these actors, throwing their 2 cents in on Twitter. Another mass shooting, another white nationalist. There are not fine people on both sides. The President of the United States bears responsibility. And nevertheless, left-wing Hollywood stars took a horrific and deadly massacre and made it about politics. Below is the latest Hollywood hate. We have Alyssa Milano, Aaron Paul, Josh Gad, Sophia Bush, Mia Farrow. The list goes on and on and on. It's insane, right? And of course, the one that always screams the loudest, we have John Legend. Slams Trump over mass shootings, right? John Legend has made no secret of his negative feelings about President Trump in the wake of the mass shootings in El Paso and Ohio that took place over the weekend. The singer made a series of posts slamming the president for inspiring violence. When we condemn the racist venom coming from the president's mouth and point out the bigotry of his policies, it's not an academic question, it's not a political game, it's about life and death, he continued. The president regularly inspires killers, he is part of the problem. And guys, I hate fucking people like this douchebag here. They are part of the problem. They are the biggest part of the problem. Trump never pulled that trigger. Trump has never incited violence among any of these people. He's not a racist. It's not about even political agenda or race. We're going to get into at the end of it. This is all mind control operations that are done through the CIA. You guys are going to see it. I'm going to show you. But I just have to show you, this is where the narrative starts going again, guys. And what has happened ever since Epstein got arrested. I called it, a bunch of people have said it, as soon as Epstein got arrested, you're going to be seeing more of these events, more of these shootings, because they are distractions. They need to pull eyes away from what's going on with Epstein and the pedo island and the blackmail that he has on all the elite, everything. That has to be taken away. And we all know QAnon resides on 8chan. And you guys are going to be seeing where the narrative started to shift. And the weird thing too, guys, I just wanted to point out, the shooter out in Ohio, he killed his sister, which I don't know what it was about. Connor Betts, 24, was killed by police less than a minute after he started shooting. He was the Dayton, Ohio shooter. His 22-year-old sister, Megan, was the youngest of the dead, all killed in the same area, bars, restaurants, and theaters that is considered a safe area downtown, police said. Dayton Mayor Nairn Whaley said the shooter was wearing body armor and had additional high-capacity magazines. Had police not responded so quickly, hundreds of people in the Oregon district could have been dead today. It's sad, guys. It's really, really sad. This affects countless families, and it changes a town and a city forever. But all right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. The stuff you guys are gonna love here. This stuff is crazy. So here's the article by Gateway Pundit, which I had referenced in the thread that I looked at just a little while ago. Leftist change shooter Patrick Cruzy's My Life page after Saturday shooting from Democrat to Republican. Page created after the shooting. Page created after shooting. Remember that, guys. All right. Washington Examiner reporter Anna G. posted the name and photos of the alleged shooter. Source to law enforcement official in El Paso told me the Walmart shooter is in custody. Patrick Cruzy of Dallas just turned 21 years old this week. My Life is an American information brokerage founded in 2002 as Reunion.com. My Life gathers personal information through public records and other sources to automatically generate a My Life public page for each person, described by My Life as a complete Wikipedia-like biography on every American. At 2:46 p.m. today, My Life had this profile for the deranged killer Patrick Cruzy. His original profile at 2:46 said he was registered Democrat. And guys, I'm going to show down here. Here's the My Life page, 2:46 p.m. We know that Patrick's political affiliation is currently a registered Democratic Party. Ethnicity is Caucasian and religious views are listed as Christian, right? You guys see it. Democratic Party. That was at 2:46. At 2:50 p.m., leftist changed his political affiliation from Democrat to Republican. There's 2:50. Here's a screenshot. Patrick's bio. Before becoming a mass shooter / murderer, Patrick was a registered Republican. And not only did they change that, guys, a former campaign worker for Donald Trump, he was also a QAnon conspiracy theorist. Look at this. Do you see anything like that here? Nothing related to Trump, nothing related to QAnon. And down here, we have Republican, former campaign worker, Trump, QAnon conspiracy theorist. Super sketchy stuff, guys. This is fuckery going on. This is big. And again, it says right here, at 2:52, his profile was changed again. His description now says a Republican and QAnon member. So not only that, this wasn't enough. QAnon conspiracy theorist. They go even further and change it 2 minutes later. He's a Republican QAnon member. Incel and NRA supporter. Just fueling that narrative that the media wants to push so hard. Guys, they changed all this stuff to change information, to change if anyone wants to even look at this person, change within minutes. Minutes, guys. And this is why we have our community, our researchers, the Anons, they're amazing to find this stuff, to screenshot this stuff, to show people what's going on. And by Saturday night, they were still making changes. His profile includes anti-Jewish slurs and links to Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, and calls him an evangelical Christian, guys. Can they not make this any more obvious, guys? Any more obvious? So now you start seeing the narrative change slowly from Second Amendment rights, more gun control, to QAnon member, Trump, Epstein, and we're going to see what it's going into. This was an article by Zero Hedge. Excellent source of information. The Dayton shooter was also a pro-Satan leftist who supported Warren, Sanders, Antifa, and communism, guys. So this is the true story, and I want to show you this. And while the media was eager to quickly expose the El Paso shooter as a right-wing extremist with the implication that he is merely following Trump's belligerent rhetoric, only few details had emerged about the Dayton, Ohio shooter, although we certainly understand why the mainstream media may not have rushed to make these alleged details public. Because according to Heavy.com, the Dayton shooter was an Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders supporter who advocated for socialism, communism, and supported Antifa. And we know right now, guys, Trump is right on the fence right now, any day now, looking into labeling Antifa as a domestic terrorist group, which is exactly what they are. On his alleged Twitter account, he promoted Antifa and the Democratic Socialists of America. And here's tweets, guys. Here's all the tweets. I'm going to put links in my show notes below so you can go on these yourself and look. Don't take my word for it. Look at all this stuff yourself. He also appeared to be critical of President Trump's immigration policy using the concentration camp rhetoric made popular by AOC. Shocker. The account called an Antifa terrorist who attacked ICE facility a martyr. And guys, this was the one I was just referring to. The article I just read to you. This was Antifa. He was killed by police who attacked the ICE facility. Antifa supporter. He called him a martyr. Not fitting the mainstream narrative, right? Let's go. He also retweeted pro-communist tweets, which are right here. Antifa International retweeted here. And the account wrote that he would happily vote for Democratic Elizabeth Warren, praised Satan, was upset about the 2016 presidential election results, and added, "I want socialism, and I'll not wait for the idiots to finally come around to understanding." He also allegedly retweeted a post about rounding up hostages in a video game before shooting them all in the head. On November 2nd, 2018, the account wrote, "Vote blue for God's sakes," on the date of Republican Senator John McCain's death. It said, "Fuck John McCain." After Trump's 2016 election, he allegedly tweeted, "This is bad." So guys, what did I tell you before? All social media accounts scrubbed. His public records online scrubbed and changed within minutes. Within minutes. The Democrat and the social media and mainstream media have not said anything about Antifa, denouncing who they are, calling them out. Democrats don't do it. AOC don't do it. And this guy was a supporter of Antifa, communism, and the Democratic Party. Wow, it doesn't fit the narrative, right? Anti-Trump, right? They make it out to be that he was a pro-Trump supporter, QAnon conspiracy theorist on 8chan. And guys, this is infuriating. This is happening right in front of us, and people are eating this up. This is why I'm doing this channel, guys, so you can see this stuff. You guys need to know what's going on out there. That is what we're looking at. And these are just some of the tweets that I referred to before. The Antifa International. And guys, this was just another screenshot here that I found from Minor Stream Media. So New York Post just changed the identity of the El Paso shooter and nobody noticed. And you can see right here, guys, this information was changing like that. It was changing. The media was scrambling to get this out there because it was a perfect opportunity, guys. This was a fully planned operation. I don't care what anyone says. The media was in on this, all of it. They're all in on this stuff, guys. The deep state owns the media. They own it and they want to change the narrative. And as you can see, here's more screenshots of these assholes, man. Anti-Trump, pro-Antifa, Satanist philosophy, supporter of leftist revolution. The media can't report on that though, right, guys? They can't put out the truth. You know how this works. I think I'm painting a pretty good picture for you guys. And so I just want to show you this quick tweet here from Praying Medic. Nearly every mass killer in the last 10 years has posted an angry rant on Facebook or Twitter. A couple may have been posted on 8chan. Guess which platform is being criticized for allowing hate? And so, guys, this is where the end here, where I want you to show where the narrative was being pushed by the media. So again, we have Second Amendment rights being, we need more gun control, to changing the public background of this person to a Republican. Again, putting more on Trump, Epstein, tying all those guys together. Again, changing the collective consciousness of the country. And now, change a QAnon follower where Q resides is 8chan, right? And here we go. This came out this morning. Terminating service for 8chan. This is the CEO on Cloudflare. The mass shootings in El Paso, Texas and Dayton, Ohio are horrific tragedies. In the case of the El Paso shooting, the suspect terrorist gunman appears to have been inspired by the foreign website known as 8chan. Based on evidence we've seen, it appears that he posted a screed to the site immediately before beginning his terrifying attack in the El Paso Walmart, killing 20 people, which is just his manifesto. Unfortunately, this is not an isolated incident. Nearly the same thing happened on 8chan before the terror in Christchurch, New Zealand. The El Paso shooter specifically referenced the Christchurch incident and appears to have been inspired by largely unmonitored discussions on 8chan which glorified the previous massacre. And it goes on and on and on, guys. Again, where does Q reside? Q resides on 8chan. And I'm not going to sit here and say everybody on 8chan is an angel, because they're not. There are people out there to muddy the waters, to put terrible shit on there, to give Q a bad name. And me included, all the people I know about in QAnon that follow Q, that were, I call it followers, observers, whatever you want to call it. It's not a cult. We're not violent people. We all love this country. We all love our Constitution. And we just want the truth out there. That's all this is. So Cloudflare, who is, I guess, they're the ones that would give the DDoS, you know, pretty much the juice so they could have an online channel. They pulled it. They pulled it, and 8chan was down for I don't know how long. I don't know if it was a day or two, if it was 12 hours, I'm not really sure, but it went down. They pulled it out. And there's currently guys making their own blockchain sort of internet right now, bringing 8chan back. So Q can continue making posts. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But right here, breaking. Cloudflare CEO tells me the company is cutting up 8chan's access to its DDoS protection service after all. A big reversal from earlier in the day. Story update. So, and guys, look, this is the shit that's coming out, right? 8chan is a normal part of mass shootings now. This is where the media took this story, and it's circulating everywhere. This just came out yesterday at 1:11 a.m. 3 white national shooters appear to have posted manifestos in the same troll forum. Here's how 8chan became a meme-filled refugee for hate. And guys, I'll be completely honest. 8chan, again, there are bad people on 8chan, but it has nothing to do with QAnon. QAnon is on there because 1, it's open source, 2, it's completely anonymous, and 3, it's almost impossible to take down. And that's, in this case, Cloudflare was able to do it, but essentially that's where Q has resided the last 2.5 years now, because it was impenetrable. You couldn't take it down. But now the media is now focusing this entire mass narrative to focus on 8chan and QAnon to shut them down. It's insane, guys. This is all planned. This is all false flag events. This is what it was. It's sad that people have to die. Innocent people have died. Parents died. Brothers, sisters, whoever. It's sad. But this is what the deep state is going to do. This is what we were expecting the deep state to do, because as they get more and more cornered, especially with Epstein being locked up, this is the stuff that's going to happen, unfortunately. And I want to get into this tweet, and then we're going to get into the MK Ultra stuff. The political affiliations of these shooters are a distraction. It's meant to draw us into an irrelevant argument. They are brainwashed and programmed to kill by insidious elements of Intel, MK Ultra. They don't really have beliefs, they have orders. And we're going to get into that, guys. And from what I just want to get from this tweet to explain to you guys is that the political affiliations of left, right, it doesn't matter. I just wanted to show you that was happening in real time, of the scrubbing of information, and it's rampant. It's rampant, guys. But when it's all boiled down, people are just ignorant to the fact that this program, MK Ultra, has existed since the 50s and 60s, and it was never officially shut down. And just imagine, we're in 2019, go almost 2020. Imagine how far the program has gone now. We're going to get into it. It's all mind control. It's all mind control. These sleeper cells, they activate people's brains, and they go do these terrible acts. I'm going to show you. Here we go. Spy secrets. Truth about CIA's illegal MK Ultra mind control experiments using drugs, hypnosis, and electronic devices revealed in sensational new documents officials hid for decades. Here we go. The new documents released under the Freedom of Information Act reveal how the CIA experimented on both humans and animals using drugs, hypnosis, and electronic devices as part of the top secret and illegal mind control project MK Ultra. Shockingly, the swaths of information still missing or redacted in the records could mean the CIA is still carrying out the experiments to this day, according to experts. One document details how the CIA planned to drug criminals awaiting trial held in a prison hospital ward in a bid to develop improved techniques in a drug interrogation. Another document details the CIA's interest in developing ways to cause amnesia in humans using experiments, no matter how weird, inconclusive, or unusual. It goes on to detail how they were looking to find ways of developing hypnotic speaking techniques which would control the minds of large audiences and heighten group susceptibility. Experiments which are too dangerous, too shocking, too unusual for the routine testing would be of interest to us, the memo from 1956 reads. Guys, pretty much that paragraph said, America back in the day, this is in the 50s, were willing to go above and beyond any kind of morals to put these tests, to see how far they could take these tests and see what would happen to these people. The records also detail mind control experiments on dogs, cats, and mice with a cocktail of drugs and by implanting electronic devices, most likely as a precursor to human experiments. They also research electric fish who can zap each other with electricity in a bit to create a super soldier who could do the same thing. You guys have seen The Bourne Identity? That's a super soldier. People like that exist. These documents prove it. The records were obtained by researcher John Greenwald Jr., who published them last week on this website, The Black Vault. John, 37, from Casta, California, told Sun Online he has been fighting since 1999 to get the CIA to hand over the documents and says they completely rewrite the history of the controversial project. They were implanting electronic devices into animals to see whether electronic impulses can essentially control the brain. Once they started doing animals, guys, it's very close to what humans can do. It says right here, if you control and master that type of technology with cats and dogs, you're very close to doing that with humans. And so this is a kind of very interesting look into the beginning days of that research. It shows that the entire story is not out yet, which is contrary to what the CIA wants us to believe. MK Ultra was the code name for a top secret and illegal program of human experiments which the CIA carried out in the early 50s until it was officially halted in 1973, supposedly. The aim of the project was to identify and develop mind-control drugs and procedures to be used in interrogations and torture in a bid to force confessions and control behavior. The CIA finally produced John with the 30,000 pages on CD-ROM in 2004, which they claimed were a full and complete set of records. It wasn't until 2016 that a fellow researcher realized a staggering 4,358 pages which the CIA claimed were on the CD were actually missing, and John began his fight to have the missing records released. But most worrying, John says, is that there is still at least 1,245 pages missing, which could contain even more disturbing details. He believes the missing information may relate to top secret mind control projects which are still to this day taking place. We've known for many years that MK Ultra related material was destroyed, but if you look at these documents, you realize that there was a lot going on outside of MK Ultra, still drug, mind control, and manipulation related. You begin to realize that MK Ultra may ultimately just be the tip of the iceberg. If we know X, what the heck is redacted under Y? We can't know for sure, but it's certainly scary to think about. They are redacting the information because it's absolutely a threat to national security to tell us. If all this stuff was declassified with not a whole lot of redactions and just failure after failure, then there's probably a chance that they indeed cancel funding to the program. But when you read these materials, you realize they were actually making leaps and strides. There's been multiple times that they just kept giving me bad information, and a lot of times in writing they were telling me one thing that necessarily isn't true, he said. So guys, that is just an article on MK Ultra, and you can find these documents right here. All these documents can be found on the CIA website, and you can find other websites that have these documents going into humongous detail about what the CIA was doing to animals and to humans as far as drugging them and literally implanting some kind of chips into their minds to send signals to people's brains to get them to pretty much become a zombie and do what they want them to do. They become a puppet. And in a lot of my videos, anything regarding to a shooting, we believe that these people are controlled by these MK Ultra programs. Just because they don't call it MK Ultra, the CIA said they stopped this type of program back in the day. It doesn't mean when they say they made leaps and bounds, they may have shut down that particular program, but they could have just moved it into a entirely different program altogether. All this stuff is compartmentalized, guys, and it doesn't end when they say it ends. Why would the CIA tell the truth? Why would they just blatantly say, yeah, we're done doing that, that's not going on anymore? And guys, I have another article. I'm going to save it for a different day, but and actually, you know what? If you guys go on Edge of Wonder on YouTube, they have an episode. It was put up again maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago of a woman that had an RFID implant, a chip, looks like a little capsule that was implanted inside of her. And it was literally making her go crazy and making her do things that she had no control over. This is what this technology does, guys, and this was around since the 50s and 60s. You have to think about that. Why would the deep state, we all know CIA is rogue intelligence, and why would the deep state stop what they were stop there? We're almost in 2020. You guys have heard the voice of God technology, which pretty much people hear things in their head, they think it's God, and they act on it. That's, in my opinion, you guys can leave it in your comments what you guys think, but that, in my opinion, is what is controlling these shootings. They are coordinated. They're activated sleeper cells by the deep state. They go on social media. They find these young kids or adults, fragile minds. They say it's mental illness. They want to blame mental illness. Maybe some of it is, but it's probably very minute. These are controlled oppositions, false flag events to, again, shift the mass consciousness of the country, guys. And now they're putting all the eggs in the basket, going after Q and HN, because we all know QAnon is exposing the deep state, and Q has got millions of followers, not just in the country but all over the world, and people are waking up. So that is the episode, guys. I wanted to end on that. I usually don't stick to one topic, but guys, I've been waiting to do an episode on MK Ultra. I'm gonna probably do more in-depth episodes on MK Ultra, which I do have more articles lined up for, but I needed to get this out there. I don't want you guys to fall into the traps. Many of you on my channel are probably already well aware of all this stuff, but it's good to reinforce it. If you guys have family or friends, please show them these episodes. If it's not mine, someone else. And get the word out there, guys. Just get the truth out there. This is all we're trying to do. It's all we're trying to do. So, again, guys, let me get my plug in. I get to do it once an episode. Please, please, please like this video. More likes means more of it will come. My video will get higher on the search. We already know YouTube, social media is suppressing these videos because they don't want them out there. But please please subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. It's just a click of a button. If you like this content, please subscribe. Please leave a comment what you guys think about this stuff. I'm not an expert on anything. I don't pretend to be. Please, I'm willing to engage anybody. I would love to talk to any one of you. I love you guys for the support. Again, please subscribe, like, and share. I'm going to be having more videos out this week, as you all know. And until then, guys, keep ears and eyes open, stay safe, and stay woke.